Good morning, everybody. Well, welcome to Sports Today. My name is Ridhima Pathak, and of course, cricket is once again in news, and for various other reasons. One being, we have Bhisham Singh Bedi, who renounced his
Uh, I'll, there's a electricity issue clearly at Ridhima's end, so I'll take over. Bishanji has written this scathing letter uh, relinquishing his membership of the Delhi Cricket Association and has also asked the new president, Rohan Jaitley, to not sort of rather take down his name from the stand that had been named after him at DDCA. So the question is, by the way, we are not here to take moral positions. We are not here to say Bishan Singh Bedi is right and Rohan Jaitley is wrong. We are not here to say so and so is in this thing, because this is not a platform where we are going to sit, sort of blast someone, and we will give you both sides of the story. And we will also ask the more pertinent question with two people who I think follow Delhi cricket much closely than I do. We will get a perspective from Rajarshi, and the two people who will give me this perspective on Delhi cricket and the ground reality. The question I am asking is, why is DDCA mired in controversy for such a long time? And how does that impact the cricket on the ground? And why can't the situation be improved? My two colleagues, Rahul Rawat, who's a colleague every day at India Today and Sports Today, and someone who I consider my own. You can say that Rahul and I are due to go to Tokyo together, provided the world allows us to do so. So he's family. And the other person is Vimal Kumar, who I have the greatest regard for. Multiple books on cricket, including, if you remember, the one that Sachin launched. So Vimal and I have done multiple tours together, both very senior and credible journalists. And obviously Rajarshi Gupta, who you know is the face of Sports Today and somebody who has worked with me for the last 15 odd years. To you, Rahul, first, you and Vimal, both of you actually, you guys cover DDCA and Delhi cricket closely. Why is this that there is this continuous controversy surrounding DDCA, and your first thoughts on that? Rahul, you first.
All right, as you just mentioned, Bishan Singh Bedi, he is not too pleased with the fact that there's this statue that is coming up. In fact, I remember 2017, I was there at the Ferozshah Kotla Stadium. In fact, Vimal would, I suppose, Vimal was also there when these three stands were launched. But my question is, you know, is this going to make a difference in the way whether that statue is being erected or not? Is this going to make a difference in the way DDCA has been running or is going to run from here on? Is this going to affect the players? I doubt. I have my doubts. Bishan Singh Bedi has always, we've known him as somebody who's taken the establishment on, but I doubt if this is going to affect or make a difference to the lives of cricketers. Yes, when the Ferozshah Kotla Stadium was renamed as Arun Jaitley Stadium, these questions never came up. I suppose Bishan Singh Bedi could have then spoken out and would have, addressed the issue, would have written to the then president to, cancel his membership, but that never happened. Obviously, Indian cricket, the culture is different. If you go to MCG, you'll find statues of Don Bradman, Shane Warne, some legendary cricketers. But you tell me one cricket stadium which is named after an athlete or a sports person. Major Dhyanchand Stadium is one. But what about others? You have M.A. Chidambaram Stadium, you have M. Chinnaswamy Stadium, you have Wankhede Stadium. Where do you find these cricketers? Cricketers will always find their names on the stands, but that is his personal viewpoint. He's a legendary cricketer. He served Indian cricket in various capacities as a cricketer, as a selector, as a coach, and has been part of DDCA for a long time. I remember, he has had his, his problems with the establishment, especially with the DDCA. Mr. Arun Jaitley, when he was part of the DDCA. But is this going to make a difference? Your domestic cricketers have not been paid salaries. Your ground staff, your umpires have not been paid salaries. These are the real issues. If you have to come up with issues, if you have to put down your papers, you
Okay.
I would suggest, or I would believe that somebody like Vishen Singh Bedi could have come up with these issues rather than, you
Okay.
know.
Okay. Some very important points raised there, Vimal. Without, I think, is Vimal there? I think his connection
Yeah,
opted
we
out.
lost him.
Ridhima is there.
Yeah,
Ridhima, I'll
my
come
bad.
back to
Sorry.
you. But Rajarshi, very important points raised there by Rahul. Clearly saying, and just to add to that, by the way, Bishopji, you have our greatest respect. Let's put that first. And Rahul Rawat and I will both vouch for this. And you have written a line there about your legacy. You don't need to. Bishan Singh Bedi will forever remain one of India's greatest, and we will forever say that with open arms, whether you are around, not around, 100 years later when we aren't around, Bishan Singh Bedi's name will be etched in gold in the history of Indian cricket. But the points that Rahul Rawat raised are very pertinent, Rajarshi. What he said, that will this impact the real issues? Some of the other stadiums are named after politicians, Wankhede and Chidambaram and Chinnaswamy and stuff. If you have a fundamental point, then why didn't you raise it earlier? These are important considerations. Your thoughts on the points that Rahul Rawat made, which I thought were very, very pertinent.
Very sharp points from Rahul. I agree with you, Boria. And just to add to that, there is no, like you said, there is no doubting Bishan Singh Bedi's legacy and his legend. Now, coming to his letter, it was a scathing letter. It was a sharply worded letter, and he is entitled to his own views. He's entitled to his own opinions, being the legend that he is. His contribution to Indian cricket, but we need to move on. There are issues to be looked at, and how do you address those issues in the long run? It's all very well to have these optics, named stadiums named after politicians, whether it's a stand named after politicians. You have in the Wankhede, you have again stands named after cricketers. There are stadiums where stands are named after politicians and administrators as well. How many names do you go back to? So, look, it is a question of how you address those issues. We all know the real issues exist, whether it's the domestic cricketers not getting their salaries, not getting their contracts, ground staff not getting their contracts. So I get salaries, they don't have contracts on paper. How do you address those issues? And it is pertinent, when you look at Indian cricket in a larger picture, you look at administration in state-controlled bodies, in state federations. It is high time that you started addressing those. And coming to Delhi, think about it. The current India captain is from Delhi. You've produced some legends of the game in recent years. With Virendra Sehwag, Gautam Gambhir, Ishant Sharma. Now you have Virat Kohli. And you have spunky cricketers coming out of the state. So this federation needs to look at the real issues, and how do you address the real issues in the longer run is the question. Because is it still mired in that sort of administrative loophole? There is a dire need, Boria, Rahul, to look into how you address those situations. Merely with optics, with optics is not enough.
Okay, got it. Ridhima, my point before I toss it back to you is Rohan Jaitley is a young, new president. I think Vimal's trying to join. Why, Vimal, if you heard Rahul, this is not my show for my opinion. Ridhima and I will just ask the questions here. If you heard Rahul Rawat there, made some very pertinent points. Your thoughts on Bishanji's letter?
I think what Rahul says, there are very valid and relevant points. But on this say, without, as you just mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are not here to take sides, who is right, who is wrong. But at the same time, what Bishan Singh Bedi has done, he has tried to do something which no Indian cricketer does. For too long, for too many cricketers are diplomatic. We also need our Michael Holding. We also need somebody who can call a spade a spade. We may not completely agree with Bishan Singh Bedi what he has written, but especially in Indian culture, when somebody has passed away, we don't speak ill of that person. And in fact, Bedi himself has written about that. But the point he has raised, as a cricket fan, I'm not talking about a journalist as an author, but as a cricket fan, when you or me will take our son to Firoz Shah Kotla, who we would like to show the picture, the statue? A Virendra Sehwag or a Virat Kohli, you were there in Melbourne. When we go to Melbourne, my abiding memory of MCG is the statue of Shane Warne, Dennis Lin, and all that. My abiding memory of Barbados Cricket Stadium is Sir Garfield Sobers. You go around the world, all the stadiums, it's the players' statue, it's the players' images that dominates our psyche, and young children get them. That is the point Bishan Singh Bedi wants to make, and I don't think. See, Arun Jaitley, he has done a wonderful job as an administrator, cricket administrator. His contribution to Indian cricket is no less significant than a Dalmia or a Srinivasan or a Lalit Modi. They also have their flaws, like any administrator will have. But I think on this point, if it is better, and this is probably Bishan Singh Bedi has raised a very fine issue, high time that Indian cricket should think about honoring their players. Well, there is a Wankhede stadium, just Sunil Gavar's stand, just Sachin Tendulkar's stand. Why can't there be a stadium named after our great cricketers? So I think this point, and cricketers should, for once, cricketers should come in support of Bishan Singh Bedi, because Bishan Singh Bedi is not somebody he's talking about himself. He's talking about entire fraternity. And we know that he's somebody who has never cared for money. He's the guy who lost money, his benefit year money for Northamptonshire, for being outspoken. He lost many broadcasting contract because of his controversial views on Muthaiya Muralidharan and so many subjects on IPL and other stuff. So he's not somebody who cares for money. And these are rare people. Let's be honest. We may not completely agree with his thoughts, sometimes radical, but we need to respect what he's saying.
Ridhima, don't you think this is the fun of sports today? We have two different points of view and we will put both out.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. First of all, I apologize, gentlemen. I am based out of Pune, and Thursdays are par cut-off here to begin with. And there are two different narratives that have been set actually right here, where Rajashri Rahul are setting a different narrative. But I also kind of agree with Vimalji, the fact that just because it's not happened before doesn't mean it shouldn't happen now. What do you think, Borila?
Again, there are reasonable arguments on both sides, but I am a little conflicted here because Bishan Singh Bedi is someone who I consider my own. So there is a bit of a conflict there, and I will forever respect Bishan. Having said that, Arunji and I were very close. So having said that, if I try to be objective, if I was Rohan Jaitley, I would reach out to Bishan Bedi. Because for me, yes, if you name or put out a Bishan Singh Bedi statue, let's put it there. Will it really impact Delhi cricket? Maybe not. I mean, will it solve all these controversies that we've heard over the last few years? Vikramjit Sen trying to solve, Mukul Mudgal trying to solve. Uske pehle agar aap dekho, Delhi Cricket Association has been the problem child of Indian cricket for the longest time. Will a statue, take the Arun Jaitley statue out today, no problem. Put out a Virendra Sehwag statue, Bishan Singh Bedi statue, whoever you want. Will that really solve? At the same time, by removing Bishan Singh Bedi and anyone who's a naysayer and is a strong voice from the ambit that runs DDCA, are we going to serve Indian cricket? So maybe it is time for Rohan Jaitley. He should start with a clean slate, reach out to the Bishan Singh Bedi. There's no point. It's COVID. COVID is a far bigger enemy for sport and for the world than these little problems. I think this is time to come together. Rahul, I knew you had a point to make, but my thought is we've heard enough of this controversy coming out of the Delhi Cricket Association. And I think as important as Bishan Singh Bedi is, Rohan Jaitley is also important. And there's another point of view, which we would love to take, Rahul, with your permission. I'll go to a former BCCI czar. Abhay Apte, former president of the Maharashtra Cricket Association, joins us. Abhayji, I know you are in court and I've pulled you out. That's okay. But give us a sense. Bishan Singh Bedi's letter has created a bit of a flutter. Your thoughts on that and this whole issue of conflict that Saurav Ganguly is also facing. So two bouncers at you at the same time. Saurav Ganguly and conflict of interest, and Bishan Singh Bedi versus Rohan Jaitley.
Thank you, Boria, and good morning to all of you. Sorry, I'm a little late because the court is working. Two bouncers is fine because it is only cricketers and lawyers who are currently there in cricket. On both the points, Boria, I would like to say that yes, I could hear you for a while you were talking, that it is up to both the sides to come together, give respect to each other and resolve it. Because if you see the stadiums, many stadiums, including maybe Chennai, Mumbai, then Bangalore, many stadiums are named after the administrators. Because administration... Hello?
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, yes, cricketers are very important in cricket, and once you give their names to the stands and gates and etc., then due respect also should be given to them, because I am looking at it only on a broader perspective. I do not want to wish to get into the Delhi Association, because that's their local issue, and there will be some arguments from both the sides. But as far as the cricket goes today, especially post IPL, it comprises of good administrators as well as good cricketers. No doubt people come and watch matches to watch the cricketers, or not to and not to see who is sitting inside the glasses. That's fine. At the same time, the type of money that cricket has got today, thanks to administrators like Dalmia ji, after the Prachar Bharati bill and its challenge in the Supreme Court, so many things have happened. So the harmony between both the sides becomes very important for a better administration and running of Indian cricket, which is one of the best run boards in the world. Now, coming on the point of conflict, Boria, I personally feel that to great extent we neglected this issue for a very long time. I remember in 2016, when I was the working committee member and also member of the legal committee, it was decided that we will accept some model format only in principle, and we need to study that. So accordingly, I studied it, and in writing, I have put up a letter with BCCI in, I think, sometimes in June 2016, that we need to get into the details, otherwise this will become a havoc. But unfortunately, at that time, everyone was busy. I do appreciate that there were points like 9 years and cooling off and 70 years and all that. So perhaps this issue was not paid attention to, because I had another issue, a very basic fundamental question about conflict. See, every conflict is not a bad conflict. Supposing I'm the president of an association, and then there is an accident and one player gets hurt, and my brother, who happens to be the best surgeon in the town, is present. So of course he can treat him. So it is not that conflict, though there is a conflict, it is bad. So there are good conflicts also. So what was more important was to place everything on the record. The moment you feel that there is something which is going to be on the side of conflict, you must come out with the facts that, look, this is what I am doing. This is what I am trying to do. And this is what is my relationship with him. Because now what has happened? There are rules, there is judgment of Supreme Court. I cannot go beyond that. I'll respect it. Because as a lawyer, I cannot say that it is only when the court changes. But what has happened is, see, it is very difficult to capture the concept of conflicts in 20 rules. On the contrary, conflict will be much beyond that rules. It is always the case that you simply say that anything where you feel that per se you have used your relationship to benefit and giving contracts or doing some, then that's a conflict, and it's a very wide thing. You cannot simply say that if your brother is there, your father is there, ex-administrator is there. No. Then there'll be many loopholes. And there'll be many...
Abhijit, if I can ask you the Saurav one directly. Because people are now saying legally he is
Sorry,
clear.
there is some issue in listening to you. Please tell me again.
There's an echo.
Yeah, I'm saying there's an echo. I'm saying, Abhijit, for Saurav, people are saying that it is not a legal issue. It is more a moral issue. Your thoughts
Sorry,
on that?
Boria. There is some issue about I cannot hear you.
Ridhima, did you get that? If you could pass the question.
If anyone
I
else
did
can
get it.
narrate that question, perhaps.
Abhijit, you'll have to bear with us because there is a bit of an echo here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So the question that Goira is asking is that the allegations that have been put up on Mr. Saurav Ganguly, do you see that as a moral issue? Because there is, I mean, we had a lawyer on the show to get some clarification on the legalities of conflict, and there have been none.
See, the issue is, even if you go to courts, the courts have also decided that they talk about legalities and not moralities. But then again, if you see, as far as the rules are concerned, you have to strictly follow them. Now, morality has something to do with the perception. And this perception has killed cricket. Because it is equally important to ensure that you show that you are above board. and that is why it's a very common, and that is why I personally felt that conflict is to be found out on case to case basis. And you can't have 20 rules and say that, look, if you do 1 2 3 4 5, there is a conflict. It is, there are many definitions which have been done, like outraging modesty, something which will create uh, uh, so similarly the conflict rules, yes, morality, again you cannot go to court and say that this is immoral. That is true. But when you run an organization, then whether you should be above board or not is something which is to be decided individually. You cannot hit somebody through the court. That is true. And you cannot per se say that this rule is broken. But this issue is always there in front of the courts also. Because this is, to start with, you must understand that this has been an exceptional case where the court has decided to enter into a running organization and to frame its rules and also to ensure that it is guided in the right direction. So this issue is always going to be there.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute. And so we should shift, yes, to something that is going to start in about 23 minutes from now, which is the BCCI AGM. And there are about 21 plus points on the agenda. A couple of key points is the inclusion of cricket in the Olympics, T20 World Cup tax issues, and the inclusion of 2 more teams in the IPL. So I'm going to go to each one of you one by one. What are you most looking forward to and your take on that subject? I'll start with you, sir. Vimal sir, if you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So can you just repeat the question?
So I said the BCCI AGM is about to begin in, say, about half an hour or less than half an hour. There are about 21 points in the agenda. What are you most looking forward to and your personal take on that?
I think as a cricket fan, everyone is talking about the conflict of interest issue, especially with Saurav Ganguly. That has been in the media, that being the BCCI president, the kind of endorsement Saurav is doing. So will BCCI take a stand on that? And obviously the new selection committee, because who is going to be the new chief selector? That's an important meeting. I'm more from cricket point of view. These are the 2 issues I'm more interested in knowing.
Vimal, if I could push you a little bit, what's your personal take on Saurav? Like Abhayji said, legally he's in the clear. Perception is another matter. At the courts, we only go by law. Facts are certain things. And this whole, even if I take morality, I mean, then go stop Virat for MPL, then go stop MS for Dream 11, then go stop X for Y. What is your personal take on Saurav? Is it a real issue or is he a soft target?
I think, Boria, as you just mentioned in the beginning on this Bishan Singh Bedi and Arun Jaitley issue, there has to be a middle ground. Like Rohan Jaitley has to speak to Bishan Singh Bedi and sort it out. Similarly, on Saurav issue, Saurav has to address this issue one-on-one. Maybe he can have, no one like Saurav Ganguly, we all know, one of the greatest captain. No one can question his integrity. But there have been question marks where people are talking about it in hushed voice. And that is not something good. That is not doing good to iconic image of Saurav Ganguly. If there are issues, technical issues, legal issues, conflict of issues, I think Saurav, being the BCCI president, being the kind of player he is, he should address these issues head on, because there is no better voice, more articulate voice in Indian cricket than Saurav Ganguly. Because it's just not about Saurav Ganguly, as you just mentioned. When you talk about all this endorsement thing, in past we have seen that Mahendra Singh Dhoni was in a similar situation. There is a Virat Kohli issue. So for once and all, Saurav, being the president, being the former captain, he should sort this out.
So Rahul, if I could ask with Ridhima's permission, do you want Saurav to actually come and speak up? Do you want Saurav to take each of these questions that are being posed and give us his point of view? Do you think that is the correct way?
Absolutely. If he wants, he should. But all these endorsements that he's doing, these are in his own personal capacity. See, legally, as Mr. Apte just pointed out, that you cannot confine the issue of conflict of interest in just 20 rules. So, legally, he might not be wrong, but ethically, morally, he might be. I'm saying he might be. But for that, he has to make people understand. I have also read a lot of reports, as you all must have, how Saurav Ganguly is wrong. But then we haven't heard his version. Obviously, off the record, we all have spoken to Dada, and we have spoken to him. He has clarified, but that is all his personal point of view, which obviously I or you or any of us cannot put it down on official publications or on television or anything. But then I think ethically, morally, he might be, but that is where he has to clarify. Legally, he might not be doing anything wrong. He is doing as per the rules. Tomorrow, if there is a rule which says that BCCI president is an honorary post and the BCCI president cannot do any endorsement, we have to understand today in Indian cricket, after Virat Kohli, it's Saurav Ganguly who gets the most number of endorsements. It could be, we have had Sachin Tendulkar, we've had Mahendra Singh Dhoni, but today these are the two poster boys of Indian cricket, Virat Kohli and secondly Saurav Ganguly. And also, just wanted to clarify one thing. This is a topic that we've left behind. I just wanted to clarify that I was not supporting the fact that Arun Jaitley's statue should come up or Mr. Bishan Singh Bedi is wrong. Vimal Kumar just pointed out initially that cricketers should come behind. Vimal, I just wanted to ask you one thing. Where were all these Delhi stalwarts? Where were all these cricketers when Madan Lal, a former India cricketer, a former World Cup winning player, was fighting elections for the post of BCCI for DDCA president? Where were all these cricketers? Where did they vote for? Where did they ask people to vote? Who did they ask people to vote to? We all know the answer. So it is very difficult to unite people, to unite cricketers, to unite administrators. They will always have their issues. And as for Saurav Ganguly, I think he should come out and let's clarify whether he thinks this is right, whether he thinks whatever people are writing, he should come out.
Okay, my 1 minute before Vimal takes over. If Saurav is continuing to endorse, I think his stand is clear. And secondly, Vimal, when you take over, I think you should also keep in mind that take the My Circle 11 case. Now, that is a sponsorship or an endorsement deal that predates his taking over as BCCI boss. So it's not as if because he became BCCI president, he got My Circle 11. It goes back. He was there as their face from 2018, 2019 in his personal capacity as Saurav Ganguly. And he's also a star. He's also a celeb. And as Rahul said, perhaps Indian cricket's biggest celeb alongside Virat Kohli. So we've got to put things in perspective rather than taking pot shots. So again, I am not here to give an opinion. This is not something I will do on my own show. That's why you guys are here as experts. Yes, Vimal.
I just want to add one thing, Boria, as you and Rahul said, that I am a huge admirer of Saurav Ganguly, the kind of cricketer he was and kind of person he is. And no one is going to doubt his integrity, his professionalism. The only point which I want to make, which Rahul just mentioned, that after Virat Kohli, Saurav is getting most endorsement. Is it because Saurav Ganguly as a player has suddenly emerged as a high-profile player? No. It is because his visibility on TV. It is BCCI president. So somewhere down the line, people are trying to get in touch, trying to, make a network with Saurav Ganguly, the BCCI president. Had it just been about player Saurav's popularity, then Sachin Tendulkar should be getting more ad. Mahendra Singh Dhoni should be the recently retired player. He should be getting. So the fact that the people who are trying to get Saurav on board, they have their own agenda. And if I'm Saurav Ganguly, I'm not going to refuse those kind of money as long as because my conscience is clear and I'm not doing anything wrong. I cannot be held accountable for somebody's hidden agenda. So being BCCI president, as we just said, he should clarify things on his own.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
Just one small point one small point here. It's My Circle 11. Saurav Ganguly, as we all know, he was endorsing it way before his BCCI presidency. Now the other thing is, it could be a matter of debate and perception whether he's getting a lot of these endorsements because he's BCCI president, right? Again, I'm not taking sides, but you have to look at it this way. Rahul, Vimal, we've had these discussions. All of us here have covered cricket for more than a decade. We've had these discussions. Who do we want as administrators in cricket? Do we want politicians? Do we want businessmen? Again, not to undermine their value and their contribution. Or do you want to see someone like Saurav Ganguly as a BCCI president? Now, whether or not he has achieved his targets and he's achieved his KRS as BCCI presidency, we will definitely dissect that in the days to come. But when you have a former cricketer, you cannot take away that source of endorsement, that source of living, that a cricketer has to rely on after retirement. He's not a businessman. He's not a business tycoon. He's not a politician. He has to cater to his needs as well. So you have to look at it with both sides of the coin. So even if Saurav Ganguly's face value is earning it for him, so be it.
So,
Vaiji?
yeah, if you allow me to, submit, I just have to make 2 points. First is, I joined little late, but I wanted to say this, I could say it briefly, is that what is most important in conflict is declaration. And I personally feel that anybody who feels that his activity is likely to hit this issue of conflict should come out clearly and declare that I am going to do this, and please see if this is going to be a conflict. Supposing we are having a meeting, and if I feel that a subject is there for debate in which I may be indirectly connected, I will always say that, look, I would like to get out of this meeting because you are going to discuss. It's up to the member to say, no, why you do this? This is not amounting to some conflict. So the first and most important point in conflict is declaration. You must come out with the fact that I am doing this, and just see, I would like to inform all of you. Supposing I am taking over some position. So I should tell them that this is my background. This is where I have worked. If you feel that it anyway it creates conflict. So the first important point is declaration. And I think it will be a good practice if people declare it in advance. That this is what I'm to do, which can save a lot of problems. Secondly, when we talk about conflict, we only talk about the organization. The conflict should protect both the organization as well as the other side, which can be administrators and players. So they have to take the interest of both the sides. That is why I was always of the opinion that it cannot be done just by preparing rules and then this is going to hit, whether it hits this rule or that rule or etc. So the best practice is to go ahead and make a statement, as Vimal has also said, that make a statement that this is what I'm going to make. You can make a statement before the BCCI board or whatever it is. So the remaining part gets covered, and there is nothing wrong in doing that.
Okay. I just want to put it on record that things that did not I just want to put it on record that, can you hear me, Rahul? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
I just want to put it on record that from Saurav's standpoint, again, things that did not come out earlier, we put it out on Sports Today. And I spoke to Baiju Ravindran myself and the head of a car manufacturer, which is also an IPL sponsor, that he was approached by both these brands and he turned down both these brands because they are BCCI sponsors. So again, Vimal has given us a perspective, Rahul has given us a perspective, Abhayji has, Rajarshi has. The jury's out there. We on Sports Today, and I have very strong opinions on this, but that's for a different day. I've asked my experts to come, who are senior journalists, officials, lawyers, functionaries, and Abhayji is a senior lawyer and he's a former BCCI czar. So we've heard their points of view. As far as the BCCI is concerned, look, there will always be both sides of the story. There will always be Saurav Ganguly's side of the story and the other side of the story. My only request is, let's hear both sides of the story like we do on Sports Today. Vimal clearly said what he meant about Bishan Bedi. Rahul said what he felt. And by the way, both were civil. All I want is, cricket is a gentleman's game. Let's all be civil. Bishan Bedi, legend. Rohan Jaitley, young man, aspiring administrator. Come together. Saurav Ganguly, BCCI boss, face of Indian cricket. It's a 30-40 member AGM. Have a chat, clear it up. If the BCCI AGM feels that Saurav Ganguly is in the right, he is in the right, because it's a democratically elected body with a democratically elected president. So that's how it should be. And Indian cricket has far bigger concerns and questions. Should cricket be supported for the Olympics? Should the women's cricket roadmap be given? By the way, it's very important. And I'm told we can break on Sports Today that the BCCI wants Indian cricket, women's cricket, cricketers to play test cricket in 2021. Yes, test cricket in 2021, just like Australia and England does. So these are important factors. We are already overshot our time today and not been able to take questions because it was very heated, as you've seen. Final few points about Australia and the Indian team in Australia. Believe me, the Indian guys are doing their best to write off the 36-run aberration. And we can again tell you that KL Rahul will bat middle order as on date. We will again tell you Ridhiman Saha gives way to Rishabh Pant. Shubman Gill opens the batting, and the fourth change is Mohammad Siraj. Mohammad Siraj will come in for Mohammad Shami. And an update on Rohit Sharma. You guys keep asking me. There are 100 questions on Rohit Sharma. Rohit's quarantine and this 14-day hard quarantine is a living nightmare. That's what it is. 6 days still to go. 6 days still to go for Rohit Sharma. And I'm telling you, it's a living nightmare. Try it out for 14 days. If someone's trying it out, why is he trying it out? Because he wants to do those 2 tests for India and give his best. The odds are against him. In Sydney, to go and get runs, it will be very difficult for him, and he knows that. He's still wanting to put his credibility on the line. So let's back Rohit Sharma. 6 days still to go, and I can tell you, I can tell you what he's going through. It's a living nightmare, and this is what he's going through. Yet he's out there putting his credibility on the line for Indian cricket. These are the updates from Australia. We will reconvene again in the afternoon with my guests, with my experts. Abhayji, I took you out of court, so pardon me for that. You've been superb. Rahul, I don't need to thank you. You're my own. Vimal, last night your statement said it all. I called you and you said, "Aap phone kar rahe ho, main aa jaunga, Rajarshi, it's your platform." So I don't need to say thank you to you. And Ridhima, unfortunately, is suffering the power cut. Abhay ji, kuch to karo. Aap to Pune ka raja ho. Ye power cut band karao. So on that note, we will come back this afternoon. Rajarshi, with your permission, Vimal, please keep coming to Sports Today. Value you. Keep coming to Sports Today because, as you see, we'll represent all perspectives. Rajarshi, shall we come back at 5 p.m. with a detailed analysis of the AGM? Because the AGM starts at 12, will end about 2-3 o'clock. And as Rahul Rawat just said, 11:30 is the first interview for selector. Chetan Sharma goes 11:30. Maninder Singh goes 12:30. Ajit Agarkar goes 1:30. Vijay Dahiya also in the fray. And from the east, Shivsundar Das, Devashish Mohanty, Ranadev Bose, plenty of people in the fray. So lots to tell you. 5 o'clock on Sports Today. Rahul Rawat, Vimal Kumar, both will be back with us, as will be Deep Das Gupta and the others. Abhayji, you can go back to court, but with your permission, I'll keep drawing you to Sports Today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.